Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Suttercast podcast. And I'm here with Thomas, founder of TOBE, and we've had a little bit of a challenge getting this audio and live recording dialed in for us. I've had to change offices a couple times, and I think we found the sweet spot. What do you think, Thomas? Think we're good?
I think we're good. I think we're good. We had a lot of some challenges here, but yeah, challenges are meant to be overcome, right?
Yep, I think we've overcome them. So. Um, we got a fun episode. So I was just telling Thomas before we went live. Thomas and I didn't know each other. This is actually our first like direct one-on-one communication. And I was telling him I was just kind of a fan from afar. I remember you started towards kind of the end of this thing. You started producing these like little mini series where you were in, I believe, Canada. I forgot exactly where, but you were kind of going on site with some of these other founders of companies and doing these just kind of little behind the scenes, little hey, like I explaining how you met the founder and got in contact with the business and I when I was watching that, I thought, man, like Thomas is doing this right. This is good content, like really good consumable content, and I was just very impressed. And then like a few months later, you were like, I got kicked out of my company essentially, and so I was like, what is going on? And so at that point, I thought, I really hope I can get Thomas on a Slendercast episode sometime here in the near future and just to kind of get on and tell the story because you can read through comments, you can hear this or hear that, and I just wanted to go right to the source. And I love a good entrepreneurship story, and so we're going to kind of start with the foundation of Tubi getting built and created, and I'm going to ask questions that are hopefully going to walk us along the journey of bringing on some investors and the good and the bad and what changed and maybe some challenges that happened and then how we got to where we are today. And there'll be a little bit of a tease at the end as far as what you've got cooking going forward. So how does that sound, Thomas? Sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds perfect to me. Excited.
Awesome. So why don't you take us back to just the kind of the very beginning and give us just kind of paint the picture. What did the landscape look like as you were starting Tubi? What was kind of the problem, the main problem or problems that you were trying to solve with the company that you were creating?
Uh, the first problem that I was trying to solve was honestly figuring out a way of paying for my snowmobiling with company money instead of out of my pocket. So that's
First
the
problem.
real truth. That was the first problem that I was trying to solve. So in the beginning, Tubi was I was running a mechanical shop and I was building parts for snowmobiles, everything from brake levers to running board reinforcements. Like this is back in the late 90s, beginning of 2000s. So snowmobiles weren't as decked out as they are
Yeah.
today. So how we went into apparel, like this era, everyone was super influenced by the snowmobile videos that just started to come out, like the Sledniks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all these other videos. Like the stars of these movies were riding mostly like dirt bike gear, which looked phenomenal. Considering what snowmobile apparel looked like back then, the snowmobile fashion was practically non-existent outside of whatever the brands like the OEMs were offering. So we the idea was basically to create like waterproof gear that looked more like what we saw people wearing in the sled videos, which I guess was essentially dirt bike gear. And then that kind of changed into, let's make it more like ski wear and snowboard wear, and but make it durable and waterproof and have like all the practical features you need as a snowmobiler. So let's borrow the fashion, but let's bring in the functionality from snowmobiling and kind of cross that. So that was the idea.
Give me like a time frame. What was the year? You said when this idea was coming to fruition, it was late '90s, early 2000s. Is that right?
Yeah, we talk about the official launch of Tubi as the spring of 2000.
Okay.
That is when I showed the first pants and jackets at a snowmobile show over here in Sweden. And so we yeah, that would have been the official start. Before that, worked on the idea for 1 or 2 years, trying to figure out a way of turning the idea into reality. But the landscape for snowmobiling back then was, I don't know, it was an action sport that just turned into an action sport.
Yeah.
It was either, in my world at least, it was either racing or like utility snowmobiles or touring snowmobiles. There was like nothing in between.
So what was like? How did you go from like, hey, I want to create something that maybe has a little bit more personality, in the gear. Like, how did you get to actually having a physical product that you could go and show it off at a show?
Uh, well, I live not far from a big ski resort, and this ski resort, well, ski village, was the home to a lot of uh, a lot of outdoor brands back in the days. So there was all these independent designers and pattern makers and basically the entire infrastructure that you need to create an apparel brand right in this village. And I was introduced to a designer, and that kind of opened up a network of people that I could learn from. I mean, I'm colorblind. I don't have a background in designing or anything like that. I'm not even particularly interested in fashion, at least not back then.
You're like
But I had
actually
this
actually
idea.
colorblind.
I'm actually colorblind, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of really good people around me that's been helping me
Yeah.
along the way. So still trying to stay away from anything that has to do with colors. But I mean, I was actually like going through the yellow pages to try and find a pattern maker. Like this, that's how long this is. That's how long ago this is.
Yeah, there was actually yellow pages back then. A lot of
Uh-huh.
kids who are listening to this probably have no idea what a yellow page even is, but yeah,
Nope.
that tells it gives us a timestamp kind of right there.
Yeah, that is a good timestamp for sure.
So you got hooked up with a designer and you just started throwing designs on some material and like how long was the testing before you actually had something where you're like, I think I can get someone to pay me money for this.
Uh, I mean, when you do the way I did it, like starting from scratch, you really have to teach yourself every little step in the process. Like you just, okay, so I have this sketch of a product. How do I turn that into a pattern that I can turn into an actual sample? And how do I make that sample look like my vision in the head? And how do I make it perform the way we want it to perform? So each step has its own little challenges. You got to find a fabric supplier. You got to figure out a factory. You got to teach yourself like how to make something have a certain amount of quality
Hmm.
versus just throwing it together. So you got to find the right factory, you got to find the right people. And I really started with nothing. So for me, it was a pretty long process of kind of going back and forth and asking people for advice. And but again, I was so lucky having this network of super skilled people living not far from where I am, that it really opened up that network that I needed much quicker than if I would have started from scratch just with
With no
nothing.
connection. Yeah. And
Right.
so did you when you were starting this, because you're in Tubi, like Tubi HQ right now, right? Like the headquarters of
I
where it
am.
was, right?
Yeah. This is my old office. This is actually a barn on my property.
How many people would come to work here? Was this kind of like a one man, maybe some family members helping out here in the like locally here in your headquarters, or were you bringing people in?
We were always kind of spread out a little bit. So while this was the head office where we design everything and kind of develop all the samples and most of the marketing. So that was my little in-house team of trusted people. But then we quickly, after a couple of years, when we started growing, we had to open up an office in Denver. So fill that with a lot of good people, and eventually we had an office in a city not far from here. So we were basically in three different locations, which was challenging, but we made it work.
Did you feel like you kind of nailed the product and started finding some success locally first, and then did you go overseas to the US, or did you, like, was it kind of immediately you were like, I've got to get this product over to North America, to Canada, and the USA?
I mean, obviously started locally because that's what you do.
Yep.
But the Scandinavian market isn't, uh, I think it's still around 10 or 15% of the total snowmobile market. So if you want to grow beyond a certain point, you have to find a way of distributing your products in the United States and Canada. Uh, I, out of coincidence, got introduced by some amazing people from Idaho that ran a snowmobile video company called Alticity,
Mm-hmm.
and they invited me over. So I went for snowmobiling, but then while I was there, I started realizing that the market opportunity is much bigger over there, and uh, made new connections that open up new opportunities. So we actually started selling Tubi quite early in the United
Mm.
States. Uh, it wasn't supposed to be that way, but just things happened. So since I think that was already back in 2004, probably.
Okay. So within a few years, you were already expanding distribution across the ocean over here to North America. Okay.
Well, we were trying at least. I'm not going to say that it was an instant
Wasn't
success
just a
because it
snap.
wasn't. No, no, no. I didn't understand the market, the customers, the customer mentality. There were so many new things that I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the products honestly weren't for that time and era. The what I did was basically a little too much, I think, for the average snowmobiler. And I think the way we were trying to progress the snowmobile fashion was just a little too early.
Yeah.
Um, the whole like snowboard ski fashion that we were trying to bring in wasn't hadn't been seen before, and like the race type of fashion was still super popular, and it was just I think also the average consumer was like the average snowmobiler was older than what I was used to. Snowmobiling in Scandinavia was didn't really exist. Like utility sleds have been here since snowmobiles were invented, but it never became, and racing, of course, but but casually going riding with your friends, or that was like a young thing that happened late night in the late 90s, beginning of the 2000s. So while your dad and grandpa probably been like have been riding sleds for 20, 30, 40 years, that didn't really exist here. So when we started, we built products for the 20-year-olds. But when I came to Idaho that first time and I saw the people that were on the parking lot in the morning, that was like, wow, these guys are 20 years older than I am, and I have no idea why they're here, and I don't know understand why they're dressing the way they
Why
do.
the
So it was all weird.
yeah. No, that's true. Like, my when I think back to the early days, it's just a lot of black, right? Like solid black color in the snowmobile gear that I can remember grandpa wearing as I was on a little kitty cat, trying not to run over his legs, following him around the trail. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So talk to me about your first. What was the first trade show where you were like you built up enough courage, right? You're ready to rock and roll, and you're going to go show this off to the world at a trade show. When was this, and what show was it?
Like my very, very first show was already back in 2000 or 2001. And that was a miserable outdoor snowcross race. It was raining in January,
Nice.
and I was standing there in the pouring rain with like this makeshift tent and like things I like borrowed a tent, borrowed a van to get there, and borrowed, help friends helping out. So that was my first show, and it kind of ended okay. But fast forward to, I think the first time that I really felt we were onto something was in 15 or 16. With Tubi, we kind of went through different phases from being something that would pay for my beer drinking and my snowmobiling to an actual business in 2009, 2010. But then we totally reinvented ourselves in 2013, and finally the Tubi that I wanted to build came to how do you say fruition?
Fruition. Yep.
Fruition. There you go. In 15 and 16. That was when we had high quality, nice looking apparel, uh, super waterproof, and really what I wanted it to become. That is in 2016.
So 2016 was kind of when you were like, "Hey, I think I've nailed my vision for what Tubi was. We're there now." And so the follow up question was, what was the first trade show that you brought Tubi as a company here in the United States or North America? Was it like a Heydays? Was it a more of a local Western show or
Uh, I did a couple of trade shows, like quite a few trade shows back in 2005 and 2006, and we picked up a lot of like early adopters back then. But then we kind of disappeared for a couple of years because of, business changes and 2008, the economy crashing and everything, all
mm-hmm.
of that. So we didn't really come, we came back to the United States and Canada in 2015.
Okay.
And the difference between 15 and 16 is probably when I realized that we're onto something. Like we're on the right path. So in 2015, we had our what we called back then 2B 2.0, with like all the nice waterproof, uh, clean looking, super high quality products that we had been working on for a couple of years. Like we displayed those for the first time in 15. And I think that was probably, and this is going to be in probably in Denver. Yeah, the snowmobile show in Denver. And in 15, when we showed our products the first time, we had all these people walking by and just staring at our one-piece suits and like, yeah, stupid fart bags. And then they kept walking.
Yeah.
But in 16, the same people came back and stopped and actually looked at our suits, and they came in and they tried them on and said they heard good things about them. So, the difference that was building up between 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, when we started feeling really established, um, that was a pretty amazing feeling, seeing and feeling that difference from year to year.
Yeah, those first people walking by, probably what your grandpas, right? The dads of the
Uh-huh.
industry, and just thinking, what's with all these colors and patterns, and it's not just like a solid thing. So no, that's I could totally see how that would be probably pretty frustrating in 2015 to all this work going in, and the reception may not have been kind of what you were anticipating, but coming back, showing up again and again and again is where kind of the magic happens, right? So yeah, so you've got a couple shows under your belt, right? I think you said it was that transition from 15 to 16 where you were like, I think we've got something here. Like we've nailed the quality, we've nailed the kind of the aesthetic and the colors. Is that seem about right in the timeline, kind of that transition into 2016 and 2017? Hey guys and gals, if you love the show and want to support us, head on over to deviantinc.com. Use the code SLETTERCAST, save some money on your next premium custom wrap. If you've spent any time on deviantinc.com, you already know it is the best, easiest custom wrap builder tool out there. With its new interactive design tools, makes designing and customizing wraps super slick. We're big fans of the new color mixer tool. It randomizes colors until you land on the perfect combo. The design mixer tool is a game changer when you already know what colors you want and you want to see all of our designs in just your pre-selected colors. So head on over to deviantinc.com, use the code SLETTERCAST, save some money on your next wrap purchase. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, that during those years is when I really felt that we were on track, and the vision that we had been working towards for a couple of years, that the vision was actually going to work.
Yeah.
Uh, a- and the reason why we came up with that vision was because of the complete failure that To Be turned into in 2010, 11, 12, sometime there. I was sick and tired of the whole thing. The jackets that came out of the factory, they didn't hold up. I couldn't figure out how to, actually create quality products that wouldn't fall apart. I was sick and tired of walking into dealerships and having to defend myself and kind of every time come up with explanations to why things were late, why the arms fell off, why customers were, unhappy with how, the waterproofing. Like, I was completely fed up and tired of that. So the idea became to just clean out everything and start from scratch. So kicked out all the people, like every
So this was a full reset almost.
complete reset. We stopped doing what we were doing and basically went back to just finding new factories, finding new fabric suppliers, finding, yeah, new people to work with, different designers, different product managers, different everything. And that takes a long time. So it took us, I want to say, 2 or 3 years to kind of figure that out and establish like a proper supply chain with where where we had a where we had a complete control of every step in the process. It also meant we brought a lot more in-house and
Hmm.
started. We didn't outsource anything anymore. We you know I sat on a chair in the factories in Asia, just watching people, seam seal the crotch on the suits and the pants, like just to make sure that I understood how that was done and that they understood what I wanted it to, how I wanted it to perform.
So why didn't you quit? back then?
uh, because I really, really like doing this. Uh, Snowmobiling is this poisonous passion, and I really enjoy working with apparel and coming up with better solutions to problems that I see. Um, Again, not a fashion designer. I don't know anything about, you know, stitches and fabrics and stuff like that to begin with, at least. But I always had this passion for inventing things, and so yeah, just couldn't let go. Wanted to continue.
So you do a full reset. You're getting into 2016, 17, and 18. What point, when did the first conversation or first thought come in where you were like, oh, I probably should look at some financing or some investment money to help, kickstart or spur or sustain some of the growth? That's what give us a time, kind of just give us kind of the mental frame that you were in during that time.
I I reached a point where I simply couldn't finance the orders on my own. And that happened, that actually happened in 2015, just when we were about to launch everything we've been working on for such a long time. The bank said, no, we can't give you that big of a credit. Like it's beyond what you as a person can back. And that was, I mean, that's a hard stop. Like I couldn't find a way around it. I extended every, alternative way of securing financing for the company. And I'm just I'm not a rich guy. I don't come from like big money or anything, and uh, I just didn't have a way of buying products in Asia, shipping them across the world, and then wait another 10 months before getting paid, because that's the timeline and for how long you need to be able to to how do you say that, wait before you get paid. Like,
Yeah.
the cash flow in a company like this is terrible,
Yes.
and it is one of the worst kind of companies, one of the worst kind of businesses you can get yourself into unless you have a lot of money to begin with. So I was, basically given the choice of either giving up and discontinue everything or taking a chance and bring on board an investor, which I did.
And that was in 2015.
This was in 2015.
Okay, so you bring on an investor that helps fund inventory and operation. What was the size of Tui back then? Like how, was it less than five people? Or you 10 plus? Was it still just kind of you, or like how many people did you employ there at the company?
Honestly, in 15, the company consisted of me plus two more people. So it was a very, very small company. And we were struggling with, running, obviously, product development, production, marketing, customer service, sales, and at the same time as we had to try and pretend that we were as big as everybody else in this industry
Yeah.
on three people.
Uh,
So, it became impossible. A couple of years earlier, I also made the decision to focus on just Tubi. Bec- Uh, in the beginning, I also had a mechanical, like a, let's say, that mechanical shop,
hmm hmm
welding business.
Yep. Well, you're a
So,
welder.
right. So we had between 5 and 15 people, depending on the time of the year, that would uh, that would be out, working on sawmills, fixing machines, working in the shop. So that gave us a cash flow that could support Tubi in the summertime. But once I gave up on that or sold that business to focus, it became evident that 2B needed to be profitable. Otherwise, we just couldn't continue.
Yeah.
But that proved very difficult at the same time as you see this growth. We have a growth opportunity, we are growing, and we also have a need to invest in things that we simply can't afford. So this is how, the decision was made.
To bring on those investors. So was this like an investment group or was it an individual? How did you meet this group or individual in the beginning?
The investors actually changed a little bit over the years.
Okay.
In the beginning, it was a government funded investment group that was put in place to invest in small growing businesses. So my first investor didn't really feel uh, like a real investor in that sense. They didn't come in to change the company. They didn't have an opinion really what we were doing as long as we were growing, which we did. But then, gradually investors were changed, and at the end we had basically private equity that was backing the company.
What when you brought on the private equity group, then what was the arrangement? Were they just there for financial support or did they also provide, structure or some manpower as to help in the growth of Tubi?
We had a board. We It gave us the opportunity to hire more people and start building it into, well, obviously the vision. And I have to say, I shared that vision in the beginning, was to go from it being like an entrepreneur company to an actual company that, someday would be valuable enough to be able to sell off and make a profit off. Uh, so yeah, that was all made possible by investors. Uh, it would have been next to impossible to do otherwise.
And that's kind of the like, you bring on private equity, uh, that's their main, concern is, hey, I'm going to give you $1 and I'm doing that. So hopefully in X amount of years time, I'm going to get $5 or $10 back. That usually it's hard to find someone that, a private equity group that's just going to give you money just to give you money, like, and they
Yeah,
don't,
they're not going to.
like they're not going to do that. And so, they want to see growth and they want a return, right, at some point. That's the hanging fruit, the carrot that's dangling out in front of them. And which can cause, when you're a founder and you've got the passion within the industry and you're the one building all of the connections with real humans, right, like real people in the industry, that can, present some challenges in and of its own, because on one hand you've got, people who are just, there to, turn a profit, and then you're here trying to build real relationships to help, hopefully spark that growth, right?
Yeah, and what you're saying is completely true, and there's got to be a business case, obviously, for me as a founder as well as for the investor. Otherwise, it's all pointless. I mean, I can do this just for the fun of it, but only for as long as I can afford it, and
Right.
at that point, I couldn't afford it anymore. And I think, but there are different ways, two ways of doing it, basically, or different ways of doing it, and there are good examples of companies where you've been able to keep the passion and keep the founders involved, but at the same time turn the company into a profitable profitable business. With 2B, we were never able to do either or. It didn't become profitable, and we lost a lot of the things that made to be unique, and the things that made it a valuable company in the eyes of the consumers. Because you got to keep in mind that a lot of our customers were buying a brand and a vision and an idea, and they saw something outside of just a waterproof pair of pants. And when you started losing that, you're back to, you're all of a sudden you are just one of many different options out there that is going to have different price tag on them.
This private equity group that you brought on, did you say the kind of a time frame of when this new group came in?
uh it happened gradually from 2015 uh up until basically recently, so it's been changing.
So when you say changing, is that are they like a private equity group comes in, buys it, and then are they selling it to a they're selling their shares to another private equity group, or like
uh no, more as in in the beginning it was government,
the government money?
um yeah, government money backing a small business development organization. And when that was shut down, the shares were basically transitioned to private equity, but it all happened gradually. So it wasn't overnight. It wasn't like distinct.
Did you end up selling off majority ownership, or are you able to talk about uh, kind of the shares that were left after all this?
Yeah, in the beginning, I had the majority of the company, obviously, and my intention was that it would stay that way. But gradually you get convinced that we need to invest a little bit more. If we only do this, the company will grow faster and become more valuable. And it's better to own a little tiny bit of Apple than all of Tubi. So and that's kind of how I got gradually what's the word, diluted
Yep.
down to the point where I actually didn't have the majority anymore, which didn't bother me that much, honestly, because again, we were once you taking in investors and there's an exit plan, like what can you do? Like there's no return after that. And so I bought into the idea that we were going to build a large company. It's going to be profitable, and someday it we're probably going to sell it.
Yep.
And I supported that idea. So I'm as guilty as everybody else in the changes that we started making. I can't blame anyone else.
What were
Uh,
some of those changes?
I it wasn't. I think the biggest change was the mentality change,
Mm.
the way we started thinking about the company, not as a passion project, but as a business. And that's not a bad thing. You got to think about your business as a business, but can't. You can also not think about it as your passion. So we start getting a lot of people that don't share the passion, a lot of people that is only here because of a monthly salary. They have a background from some completely different industry. They don't understand, they don't know, they don't care. And once you start changing that and start adding these people, like you change like all the fundamental things in a company. And again, everything happens so gradually and over such a long period of time that I don't think that right there, I don't think anyone really thought about it that way. it the things we didn't like, the things that I didn't like, I was convincing myself that it was for a good cause. But looking back at it, it's easier to see kind of where we started going wrong.
Yeah. So if I correct me if I'm assuming anything wrong here, okay? As the time is longer spent with your investment group, right? Your private equity, as that time builds, you guys are still struggling to turn a profit, but you're pumping more money in because you've got this plan, and this plan is a plan full of growth and opportunity, and you're chasing that year after year. You're chasing that, and maybe there's a few dials, you're gonna, or levers, right? You pull this one down and see if that works. You push this one up, and you're just kind of seeing if one of these levers are going to be the lever, right?
Yeah.
But you never got there. You never found that lever. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah. And I think that's the mistake that happens when you start chasing something that is going to be in the future. You stop worrying about how much money it costs right now. Because if we only, a little bit more revenue, it's gonna pay the costs of running the company. And just a little bit more on top of that, that's where our profit is. And I no, that's the completely wrong way of looking at it. But well, again, once you're in this mindset that you're working towards an end of something, you stop worrying about that. And this is, yeah, we did all the wrong things, to sum it up. The one thing we did right was still the products. Uh, it's funny that the products that we launched in 2015, the materials, the factories, the details and everything we built into it back then, that stayed intact throughout the entire time. We didn't change any of that. It was everything around it that started changing. The way we marketed the products, the way we sold the products, the way we pushed more products on dealers, the way we expected growth, the way it was the business side of it that failed. It wasn't the products, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah, that's evident in kind of the support and the community that showed up. We can go to, I believe the date was May 1st, 2025. Thomas, you jumped on and kind of shocked the snowmobile industry with a single post, and maybe we can overlay some of that conversation that you had. You just turned your phone on and you started recording, and you basically said, I don't know if these were your exact words, but you said something along the lines of, "Hey, like I just got forced out of TOBE."
Today is not a good day. My 25-year-long journey with TOBE, the company that I founded, that carries my name, is over. I'm feeling angry, but probably most of all sad. This is my personal account if you want to know what happened or follow my struggles to get back on my feet again. I want to say a huge thank you to all our team riders, all the customers, all the amazing people that I met through TOBE over the years. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I hopefully see you around again. Thanks.
And the amount of support within the comments were craziest. I would say I was more or less a bystander. Like I didn't have any uh, you know, connection to you, to TOBE, obviously, investors or whatever. And I was amazed at how like your loyal, like your fans showed up for you and in support. And so um May 1st, like how did you get to that point? Like when you flipped that camera on and decided to record that message, what led you to that point?
Uh, that was obviously business-wise, the worst day of my life. Um, it was a process that started in 15 with bringing in people to start grow the company. Uh, and it ended right there. Uh, I've been asked so many times if there's, can you ask a lawyer? Can you, are there any, don't you have any legal rights? So it it was all fair game. I think we have to be, that has to be clear. Like, yes, I was pushed out of the company, but they had every right to do so, and it was in their mind a smart business decision to do so. Uh, they felt that they had come to a point where they didn't need a founder involved anymore, and they had the majority of the company, the shares of in the company. The company needed an injection of cash, and the reason why I brought on board investors in the first place is because I didn't have the amount of money, that the kind of money that it would take. So I was invited to invest, which I couldn't do, and by not doing that, I was basically bought out of the company, diluted to the point where my shares were worthless. So, but technically, nothing wrong with it. It was a business decision that they made, and I can't say anything about it. It is their decision to make. But for me personally, that day was, yeah, that was a rough day for sure. I didn't ever think that they would come.
How did it like? How does it feel? Most people who are listening to this, I mean, so 2025, Thomas, you're essentially 25 years into this, right? Essentially, probably a little bit more. Like how does it
Yeah.
feel on that day? That feeling of going home, sitting down before you're getting ready to go to bed, and being like, "Holy cow! Like this is over."
Yeah, I I've been lucky to not. I've been with my wife for 26 years, so she's been with me this entire time. So I can't say that I know what it feels like to be in like in a terrible breakup, but
Pretty
that
close, right?
in my
Close as
world,
you want to get.
pretty close. Yeah, yeah. It felt empty, to be honest. I didn't really know what to do. It was my entire identity. I've been growing up with this company. I started when I was 21. Like I
Wow.
always been doing this. Basically, my entire life, adult life. This is what I've been doing. So losing all of that, and yeah, yeah, that was rough.
Talk to me about the next 24 to 48 hours. What did that look like for you? Like what did you do? Where did you go? How were those hours? How'd they look like for you?
Uh, I don't know. It's a little fussy. Like, I was angry, obviously, upset, sad, went through every stage of emotions, just being super upset to being completely just numb. Uh, when I recorded the video, I think that was mostly as a way of letting people know that, whatever happens after this, I don't have anything to do with it. So yeah, you got to talk to someone else, basically.
Yeah.
If you,
Was there still uh, hired employees of Tubi that were still operating out of your barn slash Tubi HQ, or was that empty at that point once they sent you?
uh, there were there was me and two more people, like our product designer and my wife, who managed finance. So it was the three of us basically working from here, and the rest of the crew was spread out between this nearby city and Denver, Colorado. Yeah, it was a bit weird, to be honest.
So did they keep showing up like to work out of your barn, or were they, you know,
No, they both quit soon after.
soon after?
Yeah, so they left with me.
like what's your relationship like with the brand TOBE now?
It was a hard cutoff. We haven't had any communication since that day. I had a couple of days of just cleaning out my computer and then going through my inbox, making sure that, whatever private contacts that I had in there, that I was able to kind of copy that. But other than that, we just made a hard cut. Uh, they're gonna, it's gonna take them a little bit, some time before they're able to change the company.
All right, guys and gals, Trail is one of our newest program supporters here at the Slettercast podcast. You can find them at trail.com. They are coming in hot with all of the goodies, all the backcountry essentials. A few of our favorite must-haves are the Grizzly folding saw with razor sharp teeth that plow through those pesky branches with ease. Also the lightweight ski pole strap, a real back saver when your buddy needs that seventh pole of the day. And of course, the Trail Hot Pot exhaust cooker, because hot meals are way better than cold meals in the backcountry. So head on over to trail.com, that's TREYL.com, grab your exclusive Slettercast promo code in the description below. Let's get back to the show.
Like the products primarily, because it's basically, it takes a year to develop a new product and bring it to market. So they're gonna have to kind of live with some of the ideas and visions about the company and the brand and the products that we had, like the old team had
Yeah.
before they took it over. But eventually they'll change it into something else.
So the question I gotta ask is, do you think TOBE can survive without you, without Thomas?
Uh, it would be wrong of me to say that. Technically, they can definitely survive the company for sure. Um, are they gonna have passion for snowmobiling and the way we had? I don't think so. The people that are running now are not snowmobilers. Um, but I mean, they have the cash to keep the company alive for sure. You can always put new people in place. If I'm really needed for the company, someone else would have to answer that. I don't know.
Let me make sure I get my dates right. So Thomas, that was May 1st when you made that post. We're gonna fast forward May, June, July, August of this
Yeah,
year. Okay, I believe it was August 8th. You pull out your phone again and you kind of start hinting at some other things.
That kicked me out of TOBE. They eventually put out a statement about what happened. It turns out the problem was me this whole time, plus our expensive office there, which I'm going to assume is our barn there in the background. Anyway, I'm kind of fed up with this whole thing, and I really have better things to do than worry about their dumpster fire. Keep your eyes open for what happens in the end of September, beginning of October. It's going to be exciting, I promise you. Meanwhile, I wish you guys a great weekend. I know what I'm going to be doing at least, so yeah, have fun.
May or may not have said you're launching a new brand, or you have something cooking, you got something in the works. The first
yeah,
question is, do you, or is this all just a tease? And then we'll get into kind of what you do have cooking, right?
yeah. All right. Uh, yes, yes. There's a new brand coming out, and yeah, we're bringing the same soul and values that we originally had in TOBE with us. It's built around a team of ex-TOBE co-workers. Like the old backbone of TOBE uh, joined me with as partners in this company, so I'm not the sole owner. I really, really happy about not being the sole owner anymore. So that's going to be exciting. The reason why, uh, because of the support. Like at first, I didn't didn't even consider doing this, but the amount of people that reached out, the amazing emails, letters, text messages, phone calls, DMs, comments. The support from the snowmobile community has been amazing and so encouraging, and yeah, so grateful for helping for them to help me get through what was a really tough time. And eventually that kind of grew into the idea that we can do this again. We can we haven't lost the passion, we haven't lost the knowledge, we know how to do this, and we'll do something similar.
I mean, obviously that's exciting, right? I mean, you can go back through the comments, like you said, and so many positive comments from people and wishing you, you know, success and help in doing something again, right? Starting something over again. How long ago did it, or how long did it take for you to be like, hey, I've seen the comments, I'm planting my flag again, and I'm gonna rock, I'm ready to rock and roll. When did that start?
Yeah, like a couple of weeks after,
Couple
I mean,
weeks.
to it, yeah. I mean, I got to do something, right? And no, the idea came up, and we thought about it, we talked about it, we kind of investigated what the options were and kind of what the timeline would have to look like, and kind of decided that it's doable. And again, I think that decision happened gradually, but once we came into July, August, we had a timeline put in place. We were gonna be able to pull it off the way we needed to and wanted to. So that's, yeah, kind of when
So,
when the decision was made.
and you've got 25 years of doing this, right? And you can look back and you'll say you've got 25 years of experience of making probably some really good decisions, and obviously probably making some decisions you wish you could go back and maybe flip, you know, and do something a little bit differently. What are you taking from TOBE's experience and changing and bringing into this new venture?
I spent a lot of time thinking about uh, the foundation and the cornerstones of this company. Also spent a lot of time thinking about how can I establish these cornerstones and then protect them from so that they're not being changed. The original vision has to stay the vision. Some things, a lot of things you can change, but there's a lot of things you simply shouldn't be changing and messing around with if you got to stay on track with certain things. Honestly, over the summer, the majority of my time has been spent on trying to figure out my cornerstones and decide what's going to be important going into the new company. And it really turned into what I describe as four cornerstones. And why I talk about cornerstones is because you don't you don't tinker with cornerstones because your building is going to collapse. And that's what we are going to try to avoid this time. The first cornerstone, we talk about our company as an ecosystem, our business as an ecosystem, where the things that we put in the beginning and the things that we do throughout the cycle is what's going to create a sustainable business and a profitable business. So the first cornerstone is really thinking about it that way, and I think that's important because if you remove one of the things from our cycle, it's going to disrupt the cycle. So the other cornerstone is obviously the products. We're gonna make good quality products that doesn't disappoint anyone. If we promise you that they're gonna be waterproof, they're gonna be waterproof. If we promise you that they're gonna be durable, they're gonna be durable. And they're gonna have a fair pricing. Like we're not gonna inflate numbers, inflate pricing and only to discount everything 2 weeks later. That's not how we do this. We're gonna create a sustainable business for everyone. The idea with the cycle is to create a loyalty between us and our customers. By not disappointing anyone, we hope that our customers are going to come back. And if they come back, we can spend less money on marketing through Meta and Google, and we can do other things with our marketing money. So the other cornerstone is what we talk about as socially responsible marketing. And what that is essentially we're going to use our money to do good things for our snowmobile community and the people in it. It can be things like backing young entrepreneurs. It can be support organizations and avalanche instructors. It could be things that is going to benefit our community instead of simply giving away the money to the big corporations. The fourth cornerstone is going to be a little interesting. Again, a lot of this comes down to creating a loyalty between us and customers so that we can do better things, do better products, and do better things with our marketing money. So the fourth cornerstone is actually the way we are going to be owned. Uh, we're going to invite our customers to own shares in our new brand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about this. For me, this is a way of protecting the original values. We're going to make sure that we don't have corporate investors that come in and start changing things in our products to dilute the quality of the products, to turn a bigger profit, or to be able to sell the company quicker. We're also not building this company to make a quick exit. We are building a company that's going to stay here for as long as it takes, for as long as we want, for as long as we're excited, for as long as us, all the owners, want it to exist. So that's how we come back to the start of the cycle by creating good products, uh, not waste our money on Google and Meta, and by making sure that the snowmobile community has a stake in the company. We're gonna bring the cycle to its beginning again. That's how we can continue making good products that we're not disappointed in.
So, hey, can I ask you a question? Because I'm really interested and intrigued now. Do you have that? I guess that formula of how you're going to allow customers to have equity in the business? Will it be like, hey, the more they buy, they're earning equity in the new company, or is it like, hey, we've got X amount of, like, here's our target goal of how much money we want to raise, and we're going to open it up to you first, our customers, or potential future customers, to help us fulfill that target, that investment, money. Is it, like, are you able to speak on how that might look?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's disconnected from buying products.
Okay.
You're going to be the investors are we set aside a certain amount of shares that we are going to offer the snowmobile community to buy. Uh, there you can't buy all of them. Like we're going to say no to large investors. So we only want small investors, and we're talking. I think the minimum is around $500, and you can't invest. Uh, Basically, you can't buy the company anymore. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So what we want is the little guy to put up a little bit of money to protect the company from being bought up and making sure that we can continue doing good products for them. And this is done through something that's called crowdfunding,
Yep.
and the process behind it is well established. So
Okay. Well, so will you be using kind of some of the traditional crowdfunding apps out there, or will this be something that you're going to build out internally and open up?
no, we're connected with one of the big equity crowdfunding apps.
Cool.
So yeah,
Okay.
so the plan is to start launching this in the end of October, beginning November.
Yeah, and so those of you who are listening and watching, you're probably like, Trevor, why the crap haven't you just asked Thomas? Like, what's the name of this new company? And we've made a deal with Thomas and with Snow West. Thomas is going to jump on a podcast later on in the month with Snow West and going to, I guess, officially launch and announce what this new company is. And so obviously we're going to respect that. This is Thomas coming out and officially saying, yeah, I've been working on something. We've got something in the works and we've got a launch date ahead here in the next couple of weeks. Like, is there a logo already finalized? I'm assuming there's probably a logo like
Yeah,
done up
there's a
somewhere.
name, there's a logo. We got everything set up and ready.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking with one of your, I guess, ex employees, now new employees, and she was helping us set this up. And she's like, you got to use this email, my personal email, because if I give you my new email, it's going to give up. It'll be obvious what the new brand is." And so I don't even know what the new brand is. Maybe I can get that out of Thomas after we go offline. But it sounds like you guys are
I
keep.
I didn't I didn't tell my kids until last week,
Oh
so
wow.
it'd be wrong of me to tell you now.
Yeah, you're
But
you're you're keeping that pretty close to the chest, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
fun.
we
I
are.
mean, you've done a really good job of keeping kind of the community engaged in the intrigue of, wait, what is going on? What's Thomas working on? Is kind of a fun thing, and it keeps things light and excited to see what someone who started something, built something for a long time, had a unfortunate situation happen, and now learning from that and moving forward. That's a fun. That's a story worth talking about and a story worth sharing. And so, yeah, it'll be fun to follow
Yeah,
that along.
it's worth mentioning too, where it's not just me. I have an amazing team working together with me as partners. So, and that's perhaps one of the bigger changes from TOBE. I mean, TOBE, that was my name,
Yep.
uh, and and I was the face of it for the most of the time. But with our new brand, this is very much about the community and the great people in the community and the amazing team that is building it together with me. So that is another thing that's going to be different from TOBE.
Yeah. No, that's exciting, and uh, I'm eager for the next couple of weeks to go by so we can see what you guys all announce.
I'm excited too.
Oh, I can imagine. It's kind of like, the build up, you feel like to holidays or to Christmas, and you feel like you did a really good job of getting a lot of cool things, things that your kids really want, and holding off, by not telling them what it is can kind of kill you sometimes. You just want to, like, share with them what it is that you've been working on, and what you know you're going to surprise them with on Christmas morning. It's probably a lot of that same feeling of, I can't wait to actually finally get to tell people what I've been working on. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling.
So Thomas, I wrote down just a few fire round questions. I like to kind of end with
Okay.
some of these things. They're made to just be kind of quick, kind of snappy, off the cuff questions and answers. First one: favorite Tubi gear, favorite Tubi piece you ever created. What would that be?
That would have been the belt buckle we made that had a 21 millimeter grip and a beer opener. So you could
Nice,
change your spark plugs and have a cold one.
nice, love it. What's one Tubi feature that no other brand could ever seem to copy you on?
There's going to be a ton of people disagreeing with me probably, but the one thing that I always felt that we nailed was the fit on our monosuits.
The
I
fit.
liked it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is one rider, athlete that you guys worked with throughout the years that truly helped you guys define the Tubi movement?
And you want this to be quick and snappy? It'd be, well, just we worked with so many amazing people over the years, and in different eras, they all been equally important. And if I give you a name, like mind you that the list of honorable mentions would be, an hour long. The person that was very, very influential to me uh, was is named Curtis Barossa, and he runs Infinite Power Sports in Revelstoke today. But he showed me everything that I know about mountain riding and being cautious. Uh, but someone else that I feel like really embodies a lot of the original passion and spirit of TOBE is Andrew Munster with Munster Finger Throttles. Um, all over, great guy, down to earth, and has a lot of passion.
Love it.
But as I said, like the list of people that has been equally important and amazing is very, very long.
Kind of the last question that we like to hit our guests with is, what's one thing that no one knows about you that you're gonna spill here on the Sleddercast podcast for us all?
Oops.
We've had a lot of interesting answers to this question over the last few years. So
My old teddy bear was the most important thing in my life until I was probably 12. And then it sat in my window for until I had a daughter, and I gave it to my daughter, and it is now her teddy bear, and she loves it. And that is one of the things that makes me the most happy.
that is awesome. Teddy bear till 12 years old, and then
Uh-huh. Yeah.
pass it on to your daughter. Thanks for your thoughtful answers, Thomas. I know this is there's some kind of rather difficult things to talk about throughout this entire story, and I feel like you were really fair and honest in your thoughtful responses, and understood that, like, um, not taking all of the all of the success, right? Like sharing some of the successes with your team, and obviously not throwing all the blame at any one person or individual. I think that's a sign of a really good leader. We're super stoked for you and for whatever the new name of the company is. We're excited to see that come forward here in the next few weeks. And just really appreciate your time. I know it's late there for you, and we had some technical difficulties, but really pumped to kick this season 3 Sleddercast off with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for kind words. And